Get Pucked.
Hello and welcome to the Get Pucked podcast. Matt, Dave, Luca, and Vito here. How you guys doing?
Pretty great.
Smile, Vito. You're on a podcast. It's happy times. Okay. Gents, I wanted to get into a couple things, but right out the gate, fresh news, something real fast I wanted to bring up because it just kind of, humored me when I saw it. The Toronto Maple Leafs made two claims off the waiver today. Some names that you might be familiar with. So they went and picked up Sammy Blais and Kapanen Primo. And so I just want your just quick little, I don't know, your feelings on it. Does it register anything to you at all? Does Sammy Blais getting claimed in general? Does that mean something? Are you upset about it? Whatever. And do you find it somehow, like I do, just maybe not necessarily baffling, but just, I don't know, strange, odd, peculiar that go back a week ago, you would have never thought that Sammy Blais would be in the lineup, but for the team that the Habs are going to probably open the season against, not so much that he's going to start on the lineup in the Canadiens lineup. I think it's super weird. Dave, your quick take on Sammy Blais and Kapanen Primo, now members of the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Look, at the end of the day, they couldn't make the Habs. Kapanen Primo couldn't make the Hurricanes. Sammy Blais couldn't make the Habs. Afterthoughts, really, at the end of the day. The Leafs are trying to bolster their bottom six. I don't even sure if he's going to be in that opening night lineup. I don't even know if he makes this team, in all honesty. And Primo, as for Primo, they need some goaltending depth, right? Joseph Wall took a leave of absence. Who knows why and what's going on there? Only the internal workings of the Toronto Maple Leafs know that. Kapanen Primo, you guys know my opinion on Kapanen Primo. I do not think that he will be an NHL starter. So all in all, depth moves really inconsequential, other than the fact that it's funny that it's the Leafs picking up two Habs players. But other than that, I don't think it makes an impact on anything. Black couldn't make the Habs. Sorry, you couldn't cut it. Good luck on your next team. I don't even think he makes that team right out the gate anyways.
Okay. Luca?
Yeah, well, no, it doesn't really affect me much. I mean, players like Sammy Blais are a dime a dozen. You could pick one up for like $700,000 a year. They're, and then Kapanen Primo.
Tell me how you really feel about Sammy Blais.
Well, them picking up Kapanen Primo makes me happy because now we can score a lot. Well, they can score a lot more on the Maple Leafs. You're going to see a lot more goals going, I think.
Luca coming out with fire today. Okay. Okay. Vito, your take on this?
The Leafs are trash. That's it. No, listen.
Informed and opinionated as always.
Kapanen Primo, whatever, like who cares at that point? He was already he already got moved to the Carolina Hurricanes, and that he didn't make that team, like Dave said. So now he's with the Leafs. He's going to be put on waivers soon enough. The moment Wall's back, he's probably going to be put back to the waiver wire. And as for Sammy Blais, the last couple of games, the preseason games, he did well. You saw some physicality. You could see something there. But they probably looked at it and said, okay, Joe Veleno is more valuable to the Montreal Canadiens right now, and Oliver Kapanen is also more valuable to the Montreal Canadiens now and potentially in the future. So you're not going to keep Sammy Blais over them, and they didn't. Sammy Blais just became a 14th player, and he's a better option than Pezzetta in Toronto. So good luck, best of luck to him. He's not really a former Hab because he played a couple of preseason games. That's like calling Brandon Hagel a Hab. It's not. He's not.
I mean, while you're technically right, it's odd nonetheless. But yeah, I think ultimately you guys are nailing it. 1 point of just clarity. I mean, I guess anything could change, but the Toronto Maple Leafs officially released their opening night roster, and it does include Sammy Blais and Kapanen Primo when they released it on X, like all the other teams did earlier today.
It didn't make them better.
No. But it's just peculiar and funny, and
he might if Blais plays that first game, he might score in Montreal. That's just how
you could guarantee that he's going to score on against the Canadiens in that first game.
It doesn't change the fact that the Leafs are trash.
Listen, you're right, but whatever. Okay, on to what I really want to talk about. So I'd like to get your take, guys, on Noah Dobson. So it's been a few games he got in the preseason. He got injured, didn't play all of them. It would seem like, taking a quick scan, a pulse of the fandom and how they feel about Noah Dobson in the games that he has played since he's been acquired and brought over to the Canadiens. It would appear, at least to my estimation, the fan base is sort of 50-50. You have half of them that I seem to see saying that when you look at advanced analytics, when you do look at his offensive game and everything that he was built to be, he is as delivered. He's playing the top minutes. He's number one D on the team. Everything's go. Then you look at the other half of the fandom who seems to be looking at a completely different player, and they're saying very big scare, and they're concerned, and pay is too high for him salary-wise, and maybe we now see why the Islanders were prepared to trade him. And so I'm curious to know your take, if you lean one side or the other, somewhere in the middle. What is your take on the small sample size that we've gotten of Noah Dobson in this preseason? Davide, lead us off.
Preseason, unless you're fighting for a spot to make the roster, means absolutely nothing. I'm sorry to say, man, it's hard for guys who've been in the league for all these years to step up and play their A game in a game that's absolutely meaningless, that's absolutely dangerous to play in, where you might get injured at any turn and ruin your entire season. It's absolute. These guys don't want to play those games more than we want to watch them. Right? That's the truth of it. And so, unless Noah Dobson has nothing to prove in preseason, there's no point of him playing his heart out and showing it. He doesn't have to prove anything. He got his money. He got traded. He's a big ticket item, and he's signed as a first pairing defenseman in this team. So there's literally no concern for me until I start seeing him play regular season games, and then we can have that discussion further down. You know, if we're 8 games into the season and we're not really liking, I mean, there's going to be an adjustment period, like it or not. He has to adjust to everything around him. Preseason or regular season, it's not going to. I mean, it could very well be smooth out the gate, but the odds are it won't. You're going to see them kind of work around, and he's going to have to fit into the system. He's going to have to fit into his teammates and his pairing his partner in defense. And I just think that people overreact, and they like to analyze, and they like to pretend that they know what they're talking about. But at the end of the day, man, like, it's preseason. You're not even seeing the best of anybody on that ice. I promise you. If you've ever attended a preseason game, like, unless it's the fourth line, and that's why these games get rowdy, and that's why the headlines are always the fourth line guys, the Tampa, Florida preseason games, the Habs Senators preseason game. It's not out of skill. It's not like, oh man, look at these. It's the people trying to make the team on the fourth line that are making the headlines, because nobody else cares. Nobody else cares to play for these teams. So to me, I'm not absolutely concerned at all. He had a down season. He has stuff to prove on the season. Do not get me wrong, but let him play a dozen regular season games before we start having this discussion, in my opinion.
Very good. Luca, agree, disagree?
No, I agree. I mean, you can't really judge an NHL player on his preseason game. He's not, like Dave said, he's not fighting for a spot. So, you know, he's trying not to get injured, essentially, right? And I'm pretty sure the 50% of the fan base that doesn't like what they see so far, they're the ones that don't understand the kind of player that Dobson is, right? He's not physical. He's offensive minded. So you're not going to see him body checking. You're not going to see him do those crazy things. So nothing to worry about. We'll see if there's something to worry about in about maybe a month. Let him get adjusted. Let him build up some chemistry. I mean, a perfect example of players that don't really try as hard in the preseason is the Habs versus Ottawa Senators. They put their first line on. You didn't really see them play to their fullest potential, right? Because they don't have to prove anything. However, the previous game, it was all the third liners, fourth liners, all those guys that were fighting for a spot. We beat them 5-0. So, yeah.
I can see your point, and to just even further emphasize that 50% that I mentioned about, you know, being a little bit concerned about Dobson. Yeah, it's mostly about his defensive game, about defensive lapses, about getting beat, about pushing the line when he shouldn't have, stuff like that. So that's
time.
Yeah, for sure.
That's before he builds chemistry with his line mate, and not to mention they've been shuffling around his line mates too, just because it's been preseason, trying to see who would look like what with who. And I mean, if you look at his advanced metrics, they were actually pretty good. If you're somebody who really follows the advanced analytics and all that, they were actually very good. So the only thing is that most people, the 50% that are concerned, didn't see him go end to end and play like a Cale Makar or something like that, or put up any points and things like that. But it's preseason. He's not gonna, he tweaked something and they automatically said, yeah, take him off. And he's not going to play the next 2 games because it's precautionary. Nobody's going to go out there and give their 110% on a preseason game, especially for a player that is locked in to make the roster. The guy has nothing to prove right now. When the season starts, he'll have quite a bit to prove because he's got to prove that he is worth that $9.5 million contract he just signed. He's got to prove that he's a top pairing guy and a guy who's entering his prime years as a defenseman. He's got to prove that he could still post up 55 to 70 points a season and that wasn't a one-off. Yes, he's got things to prove, but he has to adjust to the concepts, as Martin St. Louis has said often before, as the Montreal Canadiens concepts, his line mates, the chemistry, the way it's playing out in the Montreal Canadiens versus the New York Islanders. There's a lot there, so I'm not worried. I would, give me 20 games. At 20 games, if you see Noah Dobson still struggling big time and his contribution is nil, then we could start saying, okay, there's something to be concerned about right now.
So bottom line consensus, it's preseason. Everybody, the 50% there, relax, take it easy, go for a walk, come back, settle down, get ready to watch a few games of the regular season, and then go and make your
that 50%, the 25% of them are like the Lucas of the world, where they want to prepare themselves for the disappointment in case.
What the hell?
Shots at Luka out of nowhere and for no reason. I love it. Okay. I think listen, I think we're all in agreement. I think the same thing, of course, the more you tell people, hey, chill out, it's preseason, the more they seem to get a little bit riled up, but such is the way.
Chill.
Yep. I understand. But I'm in agreement. I'm in agreement with you guys. I think it is far too early to say or be concerned. Yes, would it have been nice to see him come out and just completely rock right from day one? Of course. Who wouldn't love to see that? I just think, to your guys' point, preseason, you take a little bit of a step back, especially when you see the types of games that were played in this preseason, the physical, borderline assault level that was happening on the ice. Yeah, you just want to mostly protect yourself and kind of just do what you got to do.
The most important thing about this preseason that's a success in comparison to previous years is no key player got hurt long-term.
Knocking on wood.
Which is a crazy thing to have to hope for coming out of a preseason, but they're shrinking it. You're starting the season earlier next season. Hopefully that helps. But to your point, yes, knock wood. It looks like you're going to start the season with a full roster. Speaking of rosters, I want to move on to the next little bit. And this is kind of fun because at the end of the last episode we recorded, after we ended, we actually stuck around a little bit and had a little bit more behind the scenes talking amongst ourselves. And I'll put you on the spot here, Vito. You were fairly confident that Florian Xhekaj, if it were up to you, would have made the team right out the gate.
And I remember you being confident that Sammy Blais would make the team, and that guy's made a team.
13 forward,
not
I
the
said,
Montreal
yes,
Canadiens.
I think Sammy Blais was. I agree. I said it.
Yeah.
That said, turns out we're both wrong. And so Sammy Blais went on waivers and got, like we said, picked up by Toronto. Florian Xhekaj, Owen Beck, and Adam Engstrom were both, or rather all three, sent down. And it looks like Veleno and Kapanen managed to make the team. Thoughts on this? What do you think? Right moves? Is this kind of what was expected?
So I wasn't here last episode, obviously, and I missed this conversation. But I'm just curious. You had Florian Xhekaj and you had Sam Blais. Who is not making this team?
I had Kapanen go down.
Kapanen go down.
And I had Veleno starting in the lineup, and I had Sammy Blais as the 13th forward.
Wow.
But I mean, based on the line rushes that were seen today, I was completely off base as to where everybody would fit. So I don't know what's happening. Right. That said, now we know the team's decision, and I'd like to know what you think about it.
Yeah, I think it's fine. I think that this is like ultimately, if you look there, it's like pretty much the only thing they could have done. There's nothing else they could have done. They have too many forwards. It would have been a fun story to have Blais up here. It would have been an even funner story to have Xhekaj up here and have the brothers. But there's a time for that down the line when injuries happen. There's a time for him to be called up and have that first brother game. Like, it's going to happen at some point this season. You just got to wait for it and be patient. there wasn't any room. There wasn't any room unless you're going to put Veleno down. Veleno was acquired, I think, to play for the Montreal Canadiens. I don't think he was going to the Rocket anytime. He's a local boy, and he's an NHLer, right? He's a proven NHLer. You have to kind of start him in the roster, so that leaves absolutely no room. Kapanen, I don't think, in my opinion, would have ever went down. So here you are, just with the exact roster, pretty much, that you can call on. Engstrom would have been a cool story, but you have Struble there, right? You have Struble and Xhekaj. Like, you're just stuck. There's just too many players on this roster. We've talked about it a long time, especially on that bottom six. There's just too many players. There's too many players. You can't remove a Gallagher. You can't remove an Anderson. As much as you might want to get creative, you just can't. These guys are signed to your team. They're on your team. There's just no play for it. I think I'm absolutely fine with what happened. I think that's exactly the call I would have made. And going forward, it's going to be interesting to see. I am surprised. It's with the line, as you said, with who Kapanen's playing with and where certain guys are in the roster. We could talk about that maybe another time, but it is an interesting dynamic. But I'm absolutely perfectly okay with this roster moves. I'm fine with it at all.
Excellent. I will hold to talk about the lines just because it was the first line rush after now being out of preseason, and a million things can change between now and the day that they actually play. But it was a little funky. But we'll look back on this perhaps at the next episode if they ultimately keep these lines for a game or two, and we'll see what we make of that. Luca, your take on those that went down and those that stayed.
Look, I don't hate it. I would have loved to see the two Xhekaj brothers play together. I find Florian brings a certain... Yeah, I know. I find Florian just brings a certain element to the game that we don't have in any other player. Well, the Canadiens don't have in any other player right now. However, Kapanen did develop a chemistry that Florian Xhekaj didn't, right? So I think that's what led them to make that decision, and I don't hate it. I'm very fine with it. Plus, Veleno, you can't send him down, right? Isn't he?
He would go
waiver eligible. Yeah, exactly.
You go through waivers. Yeah.
So basically they had no choice. And they made the right choice. So very, very happy with that.
Excellent. Vito?
There was more value in keeping Veleno than Blais, especially that Veleno is a center. As for at the time when we had the discussion, a part of me thought that maybe Kapanen would be the one that gets sent down and they keep Florian Xhekaj for the sandpaper. But then it's when you watch Kapanen play with Demidov and they have an instant chemistry that you're just okay, there's something there, and you can see they tried to force it with Doc, Laine, and Demidov, and it didn't work. It wasn't working. But the moment he got with Kapanen, there was something there that allowed Demidov to play his game, hold on to the puck a bit more, make those streamlined passes and things like that he wasn't able to do with Doc and Laine. I think part of the reason there is because they're two guys there were three guys that actually want the puck.
I mean, Demidov fed Laine one or two
on the power
passes.
play, and the power play is very different. They practice that. Was
it the power play?
Yes, it was the power play.
Okay,
but it was more on the 5-on-5 that there was more chemistry between Kapanen and Demidov than there was with Doc, Laine, and Demidov. So that's why you're seeing kind of the lines, and I know you don't want to get into it, why you're seeing Laine got dropped all the way down. With two defensive players and things like that. You could understand the logic there. But now that it's all done, I get why Kapanen was the player they kept. He's a player that they plan on. Anyways, by all accounts, it seems like they're planning to keep him, and he's part of the future plans, at least in the short term. Blais wasn't, and guys like that weren't. So I still think Florian Xhekaj could have made the team with the way he was playing, because it does address a need for the Montreal Canadiens too, especially in the bottom six. But there's a greater need to play somebody with Demidov, at least somebody with chemistry. They're clearly trying to get a 2C. They don't have that 2C right now. Might as well get the chemistry going and have a bond going with two guys.
I mean, I think ultimately I agree with the majority of what you're saying. I think having Florian up now, I didn't see the need to rush him like how you were talking about it. I think other players can step in and handle what he brings. He just brings it to another level. He's a younger, like shiny toy. But you got other guys that can step in for that level of toughness that he was bringing. I ultimately really do like Kapanen. My thought about sending him down, well, frankly, I think is this. I think Kapanen, or I should say it more this way, Kapanen got a roster spot because of Demidov. That's why he's there.
No, well, yes,
I disagree with that.
Yeah, Kapanen got a spot.
Hold on a second,
Hold
boys.
on.
You had a chance. Hold on a second. Okay, he had a good camp. I don't know if it was like that much better than everybody else. The fact that he had the kind of chemistry that you were very able to see with Demidov moved and changed probably some plans that they have. And that's evident based on the line rushes we're talking about that I didn't want to talk about, but we keep alluding to. So I guess we're going to talk about him a bit, that he's now playing on the second line with Demidov and Newhook. All right. You got Laine down on the fourth line and Gallagher's up.
Line is on the fourth line.
Yeah. And Gallagher is up a line. Everything's kind of moved around, and I think it's because they're trying to find tandems that work together, and they're adding the extra piece to kind of make it work, which is fine. And I don't think what they did was bad. I thought it was just they would prefer to have more veteran presence on the team than stocking it up more with younger guys. I thought Veleno played well enough to merit himself a 3, get in there at 3C or something like that, or 4C, and Evans move up.
It's his speed and the fact that he's a natural center.
But in a bottom 6, you don't have to be that fast. I thought they were really going to try to force the issue with Doc and Demidov and make that thing work. But because that's not the case, now I have no idea what they're doing with Doc. Like he is so miscast in a strange place.
They have him as the 3C, right?
Yes, based on the rush today, yes.
Yeah, they had him as a 3C, so it's fine. They're probably trying to give him some favorable matchups and keep that confidence going, so they can prove that he belongs as a 2C. But
maybe,
I mean, that's also one of the reasons why I think they waived Sammy Blais. It wasn't about that Sammy Blais had a bad camp. He had a good camp. It's because they know that they got Florian Xhekaj could bring the physical element and doesn't have to go through waivers, so they can call him up whenever they need it.
I mean, to kind of go back to what Lucas said, not to say it in the exact same way, but there are many Sammy Blais that you have already on the team. He was an insurance policy. If he somehow found another gear coming home and was able to pick it up, okay, great. You took a flyer on the guy, no problem. But you brought him in as an insurance policy, and it was never guaranteed. The best he was going to be was your 13th forward, I think. And the fact that they sent him on waivers and he got claimed, okay, it sucks. It would have been nice to have him in the organization still, but fine. Ultimately, that was why I kind of thought that Kapanen would be sent down and Veleno would have that spot. It's not, I'm not like, oh my God, let Veleno be the guy who's the 13th. Kapanen with the chemistry is going to be fun to see.
I think it comes more to who had the most chemistry with Demidov and Demidov in a position of success without having to break up that first line.
And that's why I think he got the spot.
First line. Yeah, because if you break up that first line to make it work for the second line, and then nobody's putting up any offense whatsoever, you're just hurting the team more. You're going to just start piling up certain losses and things like that. It's not going to work out. Leave that first line to be the offensive firepower and build that second line. Now, it just so happened that Kapanen and Demidov, in the meantime, got some chemistry. Let them get in there. Let them have some fun. And if Doc and them start to, really find their confidence and they get to find their groove at 10, 15, 20 games in, then you start to shuffle. But I think it was on in our chat, it was Dave who said it, that he wouldn't be surprised if the line's tweaked another 10 times from now till January or something like that. Like, it's going to happen. Whatever lines we see now are not set in stone.
Well, just to say the line's out and open, the first line, that's not touched. Newhook, Kapanen, and Demidov is your second line. Bolduc, Doc, and Gallagher is your third. Anderson, Evans, and Laine is your fourth. We won't talk about the defensive pairings, but those are your top four. And Veleno's
Veleno's they made him the 13th forward.
Veleno's the extra. Yeah.
I don't quite agree, but I get it. At the same time, it's like, who are you going to take off?
Well, okay. I was just going to say, if you don't agree, where's he go? Who's sitting for him? I mean, this is kind of the thing that we were talking about off the episode last time. You named a couple guys. I'm like, where are they all playing? You can't keep everybody. This is kind of what Dave was saying as well. Like, there's simply too many people. And I thought that you would send guys down that were going to make it through waivers or waiver exempt, and you would keep guys that would potentially be picked up. But you lost Sammy Blais. Like we keep saying, it doesn't seem like it was a significant loss. And the Kapanen chemistry with Demidov is really what nailed it and what kept him up and sent the other guys down. I mean, he played well, but it was emphasized by the fact of what he was doing with Demidov.
Maybe. I think Kapanen had a spot pretty much set in stone on this team, in my opinion. I think that the coaching staff like him. Maybe not as 2C, but floating up and down the lineup potentially. I don't even know if he's going to stick as 2C. You're going to have to see how it goes and how it plays out. But at the end of the day, he's that type of guy who could be many things on this team. He could have been one of those penalty killers that we were looking at. He could be. He also has a little bit of offensive flair to his game, so he could be many games. You're just going to have to see what part of it flourishes during the regular season and what part you have to nurture. Kind of, yeah, exactly. He's kind of one of those players who has potential in all aspects, but what is he actually going to be good at? And that's what you're going to have to you had 18 games, I think, of him last year. You're going to have a little bit more this season to take and see what he becomes. I think you'll have a clearer part. Also, come the mid-season break, you'll have a clear image of what it is. But I think Kapanen, this team likes Kapanen. I think that they're going to see what they have in him and go from there. I mean, look, Doc also can work his way up. You just don't know what's going to happen in this season.
Well, one thing I kind of just want to talk, because we ended up bringing up the lines, and since we're doing about it, how sustainable is it, or viable even, to keep Laine on the fourth?
It's not, obviously.
So something's going to have to give there too. I mean,
it was Marty St. Louis who said it in his press conference today. That Patrik Laine on the power play, fine, that's not an issue. They know that he what he can do on the power play, but it's what he does off the power play that is not impressive at the moment. Like, he needs to.
Although admitting in the last 2 games in the preseason, he played well. He did add that as a trailer, but again,
I've never seen one player like Marty St. Louis just has a disconnect with how Patrik Laine plays hockey, and you can just tell. Like, he's the only guy Marty St. Louis consistently calls out and like shots in the media and jabs here and wink, this and that. It's absolutely, like, it's fun to watch, but it's like, man, like, maybe leave the guy play.
All the players too, right?
I understand, but you tried that last year, right? You tried putting him down the lineup. You tried getting the most out of him and running. It doesn't work that way. He's not. I don't think that's his character. And putting him on the fourth line is going to work. It's not going to. This seems to me that's possibly true in a sense, but I think that if you surround them with the right pieces, you can find success there. And you're gonna have to see how it plays out in the season. I'm not 100% sure Marty St. Louis is the coach to do it, and that's why it goes back to our full circle of what we want to see this season. I want to see Marty St. Louis and how he handles his players.
I think there's a spot for Patrik Laine in the NHL. I think that he's got his tools. He has one of the best shots in the NHL. I think he's a good goal scorer, but I think the game got too fast for him, and you see it. He doesn't keep up pace. He's one of those guys that you see him going up and north-south and parks himself and wants to imagine that thing.
There's a ton of players that are like that, and you could build your team around
complementary pieces to him. I mean, for a successful line, I agree with Dave. I mean, the people that want to take him and throw him to the moon, I don't understand. I think he is a tremendous weapon, and that you should find a way to maximize his efficiency.
He is a weapon on power play.
Burying him on the fourth line is not going to help. It's not a viable thing. That's why I say these lines I didn't really want to get into, because I really don't think this is what's going to be iced on opening night. I really do think things will change. But
you have a guy like Patrik Laine, okay, who has acquired a big ticket item, and I don't think, I mean, it is possible you never see him play with Nick Suzuki and Cole Caulfield for a significant amount of time on the first line basis. Like, that's crazy to me. You didn't even try it. You didn't even attempt. You didn't even say, like, hey, let's see if this would work. Like, it's crazy to me, and it's borderline like negligent. It's like, try everything. If you had tried everything with Patrik Laine,
you don't think they're too fast for him?
Maybe, but I want to see. I want to see for myself. I want to see how they play. I want to see how it goes. Maybe they shelter him. Maybe they work it out. To me,
season would have been a perfect time to try.
Many things would have been a perfect time to try, man. You have plenty of time to try these things. It's a long season. Understand that people want to talk about every game matters and stuff like that, but you could try things within the game. It's just, to me, it's like their unwillingness to budge on certain things is puzzling to me.
It's you want to be able to rely on the one thing that works really well. And it took a long time for that third piece with Suzuki and Caulfield.
You can always go back to it.
I'm not saying no. I'm playing devil's advocate. I agree with you. Laine has to be placed somewhere for success, and it ain't on the fourth line. So they got to do something.
I'm not saying put him on the first line for the record. For anybody who's going to come at me in the comments, say like, "Oh, you said to put him on the first line." That's not what I said. I said that you're going to have him for 2 full NHL seasons, and you most likely won't even see all the combinations they could have used to see what works with him. And to me, that's crazy. That's what I'm saying.
Fair enough.
Oh, they've seen it on the power play with him.
Yeah, and look at the success they've had.
And they have a lot of success, which is to the point. Anyways, we'll talk more the next time we get together about this, because I am curious to know how ultimately it's going to be played out on the ice, and how he's going to, because he's a very I don't want to say emotional guy, but like his mental state of how he's being utilized and stuff, I think you actually see that in his game. So hopefully this doesn't bring him down.
I'm still giving him the benefit of the doubt, because on one hand, I can't. We started the episode saying it's preseason. Who cares, right?
Well, so that's it. That's enough.
I'm not gonna poo all over him during preseason while giving everybody else the benefit of the doubt.
12 games. Everybody gets 12 games.
But he's the one who came out during the offseason and during training camp that said that we're all gonna see a different version of him. He's hungry.
What happened to him last preseason?
Give me a second. I was gonna say I'm gonna give him the 12 games, 20 games, whatever. But I want to see those games, even if he doesn't produce. But if he shows bite in his game and he's playing, he's doing as much. I'm not saying he's gonna be the two-way guy that's going to be completely responsible, but I want to see that talent.
He said those comments before he knew that he was going to start the season on the fourth line. Just remember that.
He's not going to stay on the fourth line.
That's why I didn't want to bring up the lines. But anyway,
he's going to get favorable matchups. Go dominate. You're Patrik Laine. You're going to see a different. Go dominate when you get those shifts.
Okay. In the 6 minutes of 5-on-5 time, he'll get on the fourth line. We'll see if he dominates.
I don't care. It could be 6 minutes. Just like it could be. First off, Montreal rolls 4 lines.
Yeah,
pretty much. So even the fourth line gets 12, 13 minutes. Add his power plays at about 15, 16 minutes a game. It's reasonable. He could prove himself and dominate. Playing against other teams' fourth liners.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to know, like, the way you flip-flop on Laine, sometimes I hear you talk about him, you want him gone. The next time, when's he getting a jersey on your wall?
Because it's realistic. Like, what he has
you're all over the place, too.
What he has shown is that the game seems to be a bit fast for him.
That's fair. It's a fair assessment, and he's not a perfect player, and he's a goal scorer who's, hasn't materialized into the exact player that people wanted him to be when he was drafted number 2 overall. Okay, people wanted to compare him to Austin Matthews, and they wanted him to be that impact player. But the guy can score goals in the NHL, which is like more than
a premium.
It's a premium. It's more than like you could say about like 70% of the league. So like let's give him the chance. That's all I want.
He's a big body man. He takes those big long strides. He looks slow comparatively because he doesn't have the roadrunner legs. There's a lot to it. Is he slower than the majority? Absolutely. But you can still build around him. And having him out there is an absolute weapon. You must cheat to cover him, and it opens up opportunities.
It's twofold, because there's 2 things that I keep watching. Last thing, there's 2 things I keep watching him do. Besides the fact that he can't keep up pace, he tries to dangle through people, and it's not him. He's not that guy.
Okay, but where do you think that comes in? It comes into the coaching, man. You got to pull him aside and you got to get that habit out of him. And I don't think they're doing that whatsoever. And I understand that you're a professional athlete, and again, you could move it out. But if you're seeing it, that means the coaching staff is seeing it, and it should be brought out of his game. That did not come out of nowhere. It's playing with guys who he can't pass the puck to, or he can't do because he thinks he has to do it all himself because he's not playing with Nick Suzuki and Cole Caulfield. He's playing with freaking Newhook, man. Maybe he doesn't want to pass the Newhook all the freaking time. Maybe it doesn't. You understand? Like there's
guys
so many layers.
So defensive of Patrik Laine, because from day one, you guys love the fact that he came to this team, and I liked it too.
But it's not defensive.
If Patrik Laine last year,
he's not given the chance.
Forget my last topic. We're going on this. If Patrik Laine last year
ties in your last topic,
didn't join the team last season, that team does not make the playoffs.
I don't disagree.
That is a fact.
You. I don't disagree with you.
So I'm not standing here and I'm going to take any kind of slander about him, because I think he is a very important piece on this present lineup. What I find strange is you have a guy like this, you have so many different types of players on the lineup, and that yet still it seems like you're not setting him up to maximize what he can do for you. You don't want him out there at the key pivotal moments 5-on-5, because you're right. I think there are better options. But to put him at the bottom of the lineup just doesn't seem like a smart idea to me.
And then call him out.
And he probably won't stay there. I understand. But just to even see it on the line rushes today, I'm like, okay, you want to call it there's no fourth line? It's the other third line?
He's getting put with 2 guys who can literally, check this out, because it's the way I see it. It was Jake Evans, Josh Anderson, right?
That's
So
right.
they're going to have more defensive responsibilities, and it's going to allow Laine to go do your offensive thing.
By himself?
But no, hold on. Josh Anderson, when he's going to go, he's going to create more space in the offensive zone and forecheck and whatnot, and that puck is going to likely bounce in Laine's direction if he's positioned right and whatnot. Where it's going to hurt Laine is that there's nobody to feed him the puck the way that he was to do in Ovechkin style. So Laine's going to have to put a bit more work, and like I said a little bit earlier on this episode, go dominate.
But
You're
but
a former.
he
He's
has
a former.
to be given the opportunity to dominate, right? To be fair, like if he doesn't dominate in 10 games and that this is the lineup and he's playing reduced minutes on the fourth line and say that there isn't a plethora of power plays for him to get goals and everybody's going to sit back and wave their finger and say, oh, he's done, he's this, he's that. How fair was it of an opportunity?
I fully expect him that because he's going to get those favorable matchups. He should, with his talent and skill level. I'm not saying it should be easy because it's the NHL. Nothing's easy, but you should be able to see that version of him that he explained. Versus him going and play against the top players of every of the opposing team all night in and night out.
There is something to that for sure. It's just, again, you're not putting him in the best position for him to succeed, in my opinion. You're not maximizing his talents. Of course, there's room for him to grow, and there's room for him to show what he can do on that fourth line. But it's just why do it that way? Why handcuff yourself and kind of put him in that position? I get he didn't work out with Demidov in terms of the actual chemistry yet. Who knows? That could probably develop again. You got to maybe give it a little bit of a more of a chance. Everybody else gets 9,000 chances.
You want to know why? You want to know why? Because Demidov is the future, and they want that guy to be completely 100% successful.
That's why you put him with
Patrik Laine is not the future.
I mean, thank you. I was just going to say, come on, man.
Demidov with Alex Newhook, key to the future.
Okay, you're putting it on that. I'm putting it on more that the fact that with him and Patrik Laine, it didn't work. It was two guys that really just
how many games did they play together? How many games did they play? Luca, how many games did they play together?
They want to start off strong, and that's why Kapanen, there was that chemistry, and they're going to do it. Matt, you're the one who said last episode that you're a believer in tandems. You're a believer in duos and tandems. Well, obviously the Patrik Laine and Demidov one didn't work, so they went to Kapanen because it didn't work.
And I believe you can't force it.
And you can't,
right?
Guys, the tandem is Kapanen and Demidov now. If we're saying that that's where the chemistry is, you add the third element to it. You have two young, speedy, skill players, and then you got a guy with a boomer shot. And you work with that. It can all work together.
That's a good point, though.
Players who can't keep up to those two speedy players.
Yeah, but they could speed in, set up the play,
and how about this? Thank you. How big is Kapanen?
6 foot.
How big is Demidov?
5'11".
6 foot.
6'1".
How big is Newhook?
5'10". 5'9", 5'10".
How big is Laine?
6'3".
And slow.
But he's big. He's a big body. And then hold on a second. If you're going to eviscerate him,
Giants.
No, if you're going to eviscerate him for the play that he did in the preseason about lack of chemistry, you also have to praise. And he played a very physical game in the preseason. He went into the boards. He retrieved pucks. He played well in that regard. If you add that level with a big body and he's able to come out of the boards and feed Demidov and all this stuff, you could have it both ways. I'm just saying I didn't see enough of it for me to throw him into the abyss onto the fourth line.
I just said it. I said it before. I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt. But right now, as it stands, I could understand why they put him on the fourth line. For now to start doesn't mean he's not going to end up back on the second line.
Yeah, I just think he should start on the second line.
Go dominate on that fourth line. Show that you don't belong on that fourth line. At the very least, we should see you on the third line and then on the second line and figure it out. Show us that you are the best version of yourself. And my God, Matt,
I got to fix my camera. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for being distracted.
Witness protection is who is that man?
I'm going to give it the 20 games. But if by the time game 20 comes along and all we're seeing is power play success and 0-5-on-5.
Yeah, that's fine. We can revisit this discussion for sure. Absolutely. It's just leading into the season. Yeah. It's tough to see where he is, and it's not lending itself to the confidence that in his mental state that we've talked about and to his game. And it's just not putting him in the best. If you were to draw it and say, listen to me, Patrik Laine is your guy. What's the best place to put him? Fourth line next to Evans and Anderson is not the way. So
I really hope they don't change that line at least until the first after the game, because then this whole
I hope they do
got ruined.
I hope they do. As it stands right now, that's where he's at. And I mean, who am I to question management and the decision making? But as a longtime fan of the team and active watcher of this team, I don't think that is the smart play. That's my opinion. And on that, I'd like to know what everybody else who's made it through this long discussion, what their thoughts is. Should Patrik Laine be elevated out the gate and put in a better position of success on the second line, first line? What do you think? Is he where he should be because he's a 5-on-5 liability? Let us know in the comments. Very curious to know what you guys have to think. Also, as usual, please consider liking, subscribing if you hadn't. It helps with the algorithm and all that and gets us out there, and we appreciate that tremendously. Take a look on all the socials for updates when our episodes drop, as well as on Instagram, where we are trying to be a little bit more active. So go take a look at that if you haven't. I know that wasn't our jam before, but it is now. I hope, maybe.
You said like a 75-year-old pilot. The Instagram.
I mean, it wasn't our bag. It's our bag now. So take a look at that too. We really appreciate it, guys. Thanks very much. Very excited for the start of the season. Next time we get together, there will have been games in the regular season played, and we're very happy to talk about all those. So until then, for Dave, Luca, and Vito, I'm Matt, and this was
Get Pucked.